And we're getting there, we're getting there.
Still can't believe you don't have music, like intro music.
Yeah, but we're here. We're live on a Tuesday night for Talk Time with TJ, Triple T, number 221. Next week it'll be triple deuces. But I'm glad you guys are here. Oh, man, it still blows my mind when I see those numbers, but I couldn't have done it without you. And for people that are watching us live on YouTube, which means I could say, hi, Mom, watching up in Minnesota. And for the rest of you that are watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you would do me a big favor that only costs you a few clickety clicks on the computer. Click that like button, click the subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a few comments, ring the bell so you know when we're back on the air. If this is your first time watching, thank you, thank you. I'm looking forward to sharing information with you. The way we run the show on here is it's a 2-hour show. First hour, I do my best to try and get through 3 topics. And if you've been around watching enough, you know what I mean when I say I do my best to get through 3 topics. And second hour, we change things up a bit. It's open mic, open platform. Anybody can bring up a topic or a question. And I let the people on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. And if after everybody has answered, if I think there's still something I can add to it, that's when I throw in my 2 centavos. I've also got a website I'd love you to check out. My website is www.thetswb.com. thetallskinnywhiteboy.com. That's what it stands for, always has, way before the internet even was somebody's wildest imagination. So if you would go there and check it out, I'd appreciate it. And there you'll find some of the stuff that I'm blessed and privileged to help people with, such as depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, grief, relationships, including money relationships. I do corporate coaching. I work with athletes from beginner all the way up to pro level. So if you know any athletes that are having a challenge with the mental game, they always get confused. They think that I'm just another weight coach or fitness coach. And I'm like, no, I help you make sure that the computer running the machine is running at optimum level. Let's see, what else? I guess I do offer a free 30-minute consultation. So that's your chance to spend 30 minutes with me to chit-chat, go over what kind of challenges you're up against. And if I believe we're a fit, I'll let you know. If I think that we're not a good fit, I will also let you know, and I'll do my best to help you find the right person, the right fit to help you get the solutions that you are looking for. That being said, time to move on to another part of our introductory part of the evening, introducing the tie of the week. I wear a different tie every week, been doing this since the first session in 24. A little bit of the Rolling Stones vibe going on. So, I got a text from our buddy Mark. He won't be making it with us tonight. He unfortunately is attending a funeral. So, sending out healing energies that direction. Always sad when one of our tribe is going through that kind of stuff. So, we'll be thinking about him. But while we're in the beginning part, I'm wondering, anybody got anything they'd like to share from the last 7 days? Some cool stuff, activities they did, places they visited?
I went to El Centro for the weekend, the garden spot of California.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, what a contrast from my usual exposure to life. Yes, that was quite interesting. I had always driven, not always, a number of times I'd driven through there on my way someplace else, but never stayed for a weekend. And besides it being hellaciously hot at 108 degrees, it was a rather, the word that comes up is a homely place, flat, dry, nothing.
Good Mexican food?
You know, oddly enough, we had one, like we had breakfast before we left on Sunday at just like a local Mexican place, but we had it was recommended to us to go to this Chinese place in town, and of course there were no Chinese there, either the staff or the customers, but it was actually not bad at all, considering it was in the middle of El Centro. So surprised about that, but anyway, the trip went well, and it was for my neurodiverse older son, and there was this big meeting of the different organizations that help the handicapped and challenged and so forth. So it went well. My older son was the keynote speaker, so he spoke for about 20 minutes about his journey through life as a challenged individual and his limited skills, and how he published a cookbook and takes karate, and he's been in a relationship with a gal for a number of years, and he's always very encouraging for people to show that what people can do despite apparent challenges in one's life. So that was good. We had a nice father-son adventure for the weekend. So it was a good time.
You want to plug his book while you're on
Sure.
this?
Sure, hold on.
And yours?
And yours?
Sure. Let's see.
We're the tribe here.
There you go. Rector Wisely. Yep. A classic.
Indeed.
So is this backwards to you guys, or can you actually read
Nope.
it?
No, that looks great.
Okay. So take your taste buds on a journey. It's recipes from all over the world. Australia, Italy, Asia, United States, you name it. A whole bunch of recipes, and very, very well done. Good pictures and easy to read recipes, for people who are have limited skills. But he sold a bunch of these, like a dozen of these while we were there over the weekend.
Yay!
That was cool. So, and he's actually writing another book about his life, like an autobiography. Yep. So
Super
anyway,
cool.
available on Amazon for $20.
$20 on Amazon.
It definitely helps him. Yeah. Anyway, take
Yep,
your taste buds on a journey. Yep.
My copy's down in the kitchen.
Yes. Good.
Made a couple of the recipes already.
Nice. Good.
And I'm not even a recipe person.
I know. Hey, that's how good it is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else got any cool stuff they want to share from the week? Michael.
I went to Sedona.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sedona, and I went to Lisa Dahl's newer restaurant called Butterfly Burger.
Butterfly Burger.
And probably had one of the best top 5 hamburgers I've ever eaten. The meat was amazing. They used thick cut bacon. It was an amazing burger.
So what you're saying is now I have to go to Sedona.
Yes,
don't
precisely.
you use the Lunch Money Club and get your discount at the hotel resort in Sedona.
I love that.
So we can save pennies on the dollar there.
Well, and if for you, my friend, for you to say it's one of the best top 5 best burgers you've ever had,
Yes.
that's an endorsement.
Well, Lisa Dahl, she has a neat story. They just did a movie on her called Touched by Grace. And her story is really unique. She had one son, and he was in San Francisco, and there was a mugging. And he thought it was a real mugging. It turned out it was a fake mugging to lure him in, and they ended up robbing and killing him. So it was not a good situation. She comes to Sedona brokenhearted, and she put her energy into a restaurant called Dallin de Luca, and then Cucina Rustica, and then Pizza Lisa, and now she has 6 restaurants in Sedona. She's the queen of Sedona as far as restaurants go, and amazing lady and amazing food. So
Very cool. And Sedona is where I proposed to my wife.
oh wow, very cool. Well, then you need to take her on a trip.
What's that?
Then you need to take her on a trip. You need to go visit.
Yes. Yeah. We've been talking about going back there, so now we got another reason.
Got another reason, and it's in the village of Oak Creek, and it is definitely worth going to. It was amazing.
Very cool. And while we're talking about that, anybody who isn't familiar with Lunch Money Club, got to go check it out.
LunchMoneyClub.com.
Yeah, Lenora.
Speaking of Lunch Money Club, the podcast that Michael and I recorded, unfortunately, a very long time ago, is actually finally ready to be released. But there's a huge bonus because now there's also an article getting written in a magazine about it, about Lunch Money Club. And one of my colleagues who I host a podcast called the Entrepreneurs Forum Podcast, and I was able to have Michael on. So if anybody's also interested, please reach out to me. But that being said, after the podcast, it then gets moved into a magazine article, and the magazine article will also come out on April 1st. And
Wow.
yeah, so and you can download it too. And my colleague had listened to the podcast, and also I don't know if you two met or not, Michael, or if it was just via LinkedIn. But he was very, very impressed with Lunch Money Club and absolutely loved the idea of it and the concept and had nothing but amazing things to say about it. So that's always really wonderful to hear, because when we know about it, we know about it. But when somebody else hears the idea and then gets to share it with other people, it's really wonderful. So congratulations to you, good sir. I will send you the article once it comes out in April.
I am so excited. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for letting me interview you and for being on the podcast.
Duh. Come on.
Well, this is a great beginning. Cool. Anybody else got anything? I'm enjoying the heck out of this.
Last thing for the lovely ones in Minnesota, Fleet Farms were here today. So, no, shout out to your mom. And the name is slipping me. I'm so sorry. I say it all the time.
Fleet Farm?
No. Anyway,
Sounds
people in Minnesota love Fleet Farm. Huge fan. Think it's wonderful. I would take a Fleet Farm over a Tractor Supply any day of my life.
Oh, now the people in the South are going, huh?
They don't care. They don't have baby chicks when you walk in. And I will happily, every day of my life, take a Buc-ee's over any Wawa sheets or who knows what. But you already all know I'm obsessed with Buc-ee's.
Yes.
You would love my dogs. Stop it.
Would I? My puppy's sleeping. My puppy turned 5 months today and as we were cuddling, lost a tooth, which she was cuddling on my wrist. It just so happened to be lost a tooth. So it was pretty funny today. So.
My dogs don't yap. They're good dogs. They play with little dogs and big dogs and everybody.
Well, I keep telling Gary about Cabo, so maybe this lifetime.
We'll make it happen. It'll be awesome. I'll send you a video too, just so you can see it.
Honestly.
that, or else I'm just gonna have to host something at the halfway point here in Dallas, and East Coast and West Coast can bring dogs to the compound, and we'll just have a
That'd be awesome.
yes. Well, cool. Anybody else before we get into the topics? All right. Well, the topics of the week are trees, KBDB, and pies. Oh, my trees. Yes. Our property is 4 acres, and we have a lot of trees, and a lot of them are quite mature. And they've been having some of them have some challenges. One thing that I had to learn the hard way. Did you guys know that mistletoe is a really bad parasite on trees?
Yepper.
Yeah, well, I didn't until my neighbor's huge, beautiful oak that is right on the fence line of their parking lot and in my driveway had a ton of mistletoe in it. And when it was pointed out to me that it's very bad for trees, I mentioned it to the new owners, who were more concerned about other things. And so they didn't address it, and it killed the tree. Well, it also spreads pretty easy. And this year we noticed that one of our large black oaks behind the shop had quite a bit of mistletoe in it. And 2 of our healthy trees by the house started having some mistletoe in it. So we had to call in some arborists, because I didn't want just somebody who owned a chainsaw and knew how to climb trees going up there and doing a hack job, especially on oaks down here. There's a thing called oak wilt that will literally take out hundreds of trees in a swoop. And it cost a pretty penny, but trying to replace huge mature oaks, that doesn't happen with money. You can't just say, even I challenge millionaires to tell me that they were able to drop in 3-story tall monster oaks on a transplant. And the reason I brought it up tonight was it's another one of those maintenance issues that we need to look at ourselves. Like, what are some little parasite things that we have to be aware of that we can take care of early on? And working with one of my clients the other day, self-talk. And we were going through some goals for the year, and they said, I had them write down a bunch of stuff, and they were reading it to me, and one of the first things they read was, change is hard. And that turned into a little discussion. But change can be hard. It's even harder when you pre-decide that it's going to be. Lenore.
I feel like, in the words of Elijah, and when did you decide that? Because there are so many things that we just have established, we've just determined. So even coming to something like that, change is hard. when did you decide that? And if you think about change and you pause and you look at it and you think like, okay, well, I can change direction. I can change my clothes. I can change what I'm going to eat. You realize, oh, change isn't hard. So what more specifically am I thinking about that I'm associating change with being hard?
Yeah. Well, the interesting part, just like keeping trees healthy can be hard. You've got a lot of outside factors that you're dealing with, weather and bugs and all the above. But a lot of it comes around education. Understanding what you're up against, knowing what to look for, which is why we called in an arborist with a degree to come in and look at the trees and let us know that they weren't as sick as we feared they may be, but they were in desperate need of attention. We also had probably about 15 large trees back in the wooded area that I wanted on the ground. But now I have a huge job ahead of me because I could either choose to have them cut everything, clean it up, and haul it away, which would have been much more money, or I could just have them do the cutting, leave it on the ground, and I clean it up. So yesterday from 8 a.m. till 4:30, we were running saws and moving brush and on one of the lighter notes, one of the gentlemen that was working, I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that job, to be honest with you. He very out of shape, walks like a 90-year-old rodeo guy. And about a third of the way into the day, he happily announced that in a month he'll be 53. And I was like, oh, I'm 58. And all the guys that were there working all looked at me, they're like, you're full of it. I went, no, because I do maintenance on myself as well. Because I want to live like the trees for a good long time. And the other thing that cracked me up was I heard a quote in my head when I was paying them, and I told the guy that took the payment, I said, yeah, you know, they say that money don't grow on trees, but it can cost you money to own them. And he cracked up. I said, yeah, there you go. So if any of you are bored and want to get some 40-hour fitness in, we've got a lot of fallen trees that need to be chopped and hauled and stacked, and 40-hour fitness. But one of the things I wanted to ask you guys was, what kind of parallels popped in your head when you started thinking about the type of parasitic things that can affect us that people look at with novelty? You know, mistletoe. Oh, we're going to kiss under the mistletoe. And then I find out, yes, but it kills the trees and is really, really, really bad for dogs. So we had to bag it up and put it in the trash to make sure our dogs didn't find it. Holly.
Not for the first time. I feel like you've been spying on me all week or something. But all week I've been watching videos about plants to plant that have high nutrition value, that are really good at take advantage of, the space that you have, and lawn care and things like that. And a couple of the things that kept coming up are the idea that in our society, we don't prioritize for, nutrition. We don't prioritize for what's good for our health or the environment, or what we prioritize is for number of man hours it takes to, harvest the food. And when you were talking, one of the things that kept popping into my head is, when we're dealing with ourselves, because so like one of the things they were talking about is all the poisons that we put on our yard that, also goes off into our water and everything, because we can't be bothered to actually, by hand pull out the weeds.
Yeah.
Or also, when you're harvesting, are you willing to go and actually plant the higher nutrition foods and actually pick them up by hand? Or do you need the, the big, and I'm not denigrating the machines, they have their place, but if you're got your home garden, do you need to be able to have some machine that you can put up that pulls it up? Or are you willing to do the effort to get that higher nutrition plant that's going to take a little bit more effort? And so I was just thinking about, when we're working on the stuff we want to clean out of our, those thoughts or whatever they may be, are you willing to do the precision work? Are you willing to do the work by hand? Or are you just trying to throw poison at it? And one of the poisons that came into my mind is, are you just numbing it?
Yes.
Are you, maybe it's substances, maybe it's sitting in front of the computer all day. Not that I've ever done that before. But, and then the other thing that also came up was how there are so many things that it also depends on the context, where it could be the, the weed that's just causing you trouble, or it could be the best thing in the world. So one of the things that I was looking at was, cheap recipes of how you can, dandelions are so nutritious. You can eat every part of the dandelion, but you can't as soon as you pour that poison on the lawn, and obviously you're not necessarily trying to plant the dandelions in your lawn, but even there, they're not necessarily as harmful as you might think, because they're aerating the ground, and, so once again, a lot, and, this is a little bit kind of a weirder thing, but there might be thoughts or things that we're doing in our life goals that are really good when we're trying to get better, but when we take them too far, they could become a problem. Or, when we're beating ourselves up in the privacy of our home for trying, that's not the same as giving ourselves feedback to do it better next time, was kind of the thought. And I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but that was the thought that kind of popped in my head for that as well, of what is it that's good in some quantities in some places, but when you put it in the wrong place, it could become toxic.
And I'm glad you brought up the outsourcing of numbing, alcohol, drugs, and all that stuff. That's another parasite. And sometimes, the tree can handle it. You can see that it was affected in a certain area, but other times it takes outside care to come in and clean that out. Lenora.
I think also, I love that you know what kind of trees are on your property. And I think that's really important, because what kind of life, what kind of thought process, what kind of body, what kind of lifestyle do you want to have? It's better to know what you would like. So know what you have, also knowing what you would like. So you know what trees you had, and then you also know, well, I want them to stay healthy, and I want my other trees to stay healthy, because there are so many things that we can look at and think, oh, I need to improve that. I need to improve that, improve that. To what standard? Are you happy with it? And if you're happy with it, great. Do you want anything else? And I think that's really important, because we can get so fixed on things that aren't going well that we can't see the trees, or in this case, the trees that are doing well. And one thing that had come to mind when you first started to ask the question, to me, I think sleep is very important. There are plenty of people, though, that can operate perfectly finely on 4 hours of sleep, and it's not as important to them. So knowing more, not just what you want, but knowing what you do have, and then offering more clarity or deciding from that standpoint. And I did really enjoy also what Holly had shared, because Holly, you always bring such lovely insights. And I love that you mentioned about nutrition, and then also about the weeds and the dandelions and pesticides, because again, that is definitely a factor. Is it something that people are wanting to invest their time and their energy in? If so, great. If not, that's okay too.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up saying knowing your trees. I had to be educated by the arborist. We have a lot of cypress on the area with the 2 acres that we have that's heavily wooded. In there are a lot of beautiful, huge oaks that are struggling. Well, I thought that you wanted to save all trees. And then James shows up and he says, well, those cypress, we call them Texas weeds. They're not native, they're super fast growing, and they kill the oaks. The way they kill the oaks is they will propagate quickly underneath an oak because of the shade and the fact that the oaks have very deep roots. Their roots go down. The cypress, their roots go flat. And so when it rains, the cypress suck up all the moisture and nutrients before the oaks can get a hold of it, literally starving the tree to death. And when we first moved here, my wife was all excited, and I was like, I want to clear this wooded area out a bit so we can use it. And she was like, but I like the wood feel and all that, you know. And then she finds out that, well, you can either pick between the cypress or the oaks. And then it turns out she's very allergic to cypress. Cypress cause a lot of allergy issues down here. They call it cypress fever, something like that. But so all of a sudden I now have permission to go trim down the Texas weeds and save our oaks. But also it was so good while I was walking around with the arborist. He's pointing out, this tree is this, this is this, this is this, this is a scrub tree, this is a junk tree, this is a good one, this will grow fast, this one you keep, this one you cut down, and realized that we had quite a bit of junk trees in that heavily wooded area. And it got me thinking about how easy is it to go someplace when you don't know people to think that you want all of them around you, until somebody can point out to you, yeah, they're all trees, but they're not all ones that you want in your tribe. They're not all ones that you want in your kingdom. It's better to have a few prime ones than a whole lot of scrub. Holly.
Oh man, Lenora and TJ, what you're sharing is really hitting me. It brought me back to a memory, of knowing the trees. When I was younger, there were some trees on our yard that I absolutely loved these trees. And I remember when they brought in the arborist to cut them down, I was just devastated.
Yep.
I didn't understand that these were weed trees that needed to go. I thought they were my friends, and I cried so much. But then later I learned those trees were responsible for killing my favorite tree, which was the nectarine tree.
Yep.
And it was kind of like that was the moment where I finally realized, and they had other problems. They hosted rat colonies and all sorts of other fun things too. But that was the moment where I realized how important it was. And for some reason, that just brought me to I don't know if any of you ever watched Super Nanny. But I was watching an episode of Super Nanny, and the dad, his favorite thing was playing video games, and he played with his son. He was like 3 years old or whatever, and thought it was good bonding time, and it was the thing that kept him sane and made him happy. And she challenged him to give up video games for 90 days, basically. And, he, at first it was just kind of like, I can't believe you're asking me to do this, But she said, do you love your kids? And he's like, yes, I do. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my best. And it completely turned his life around. And anyway, I was just thinking, what is that thing that you think is the best thing ever that is actually the thing holding you back from the best thing ever?
Great insights as always, yes. And it's interesting because we've got a huge front yard that I wanted to have some trees in to absorb some of the road noise and kind of decorate the front yard. And so we've been researching this. And because we have an aerobic septic system that sprays the front yard, well, you're not going to put fruit trees out there because you don't want to eat the fruit that's being sprayed with your septic water. And this and that and this and that, and came down, we had like 4 options. And ironically, we now have 3 trees in the front yard. I bought 2, but one was a transplant from our property. And James said, yeah, that's a good tree. Grows around 3 feet a year. And it's a native to the area, so it'll be good with Texas heat. So just ways of learning the environment and picking and propagating to enhance what you've got. Lenore, you change your mind or? Okay. Michael.
Brings to mind several things. Well, there was a story about a guy looking to go into a city, and there's a guard gate. Keeps getting loud. The guy walks in. Hey, man, I'm just wondering what kind of people are in this city. I don't know if I want to come into this city. And the guard says, well, what kind of people were in the city that you were in? Well, there were a lot of thieves and a lot of, mischief, and it just not friendly people. Well, that's what you're going to find in this city as well. And the guy laughed. Another guy walks up. Hey, man, I was wondering what kind of people are in this city. Said, well, depends. What kind of people were you in the city that you were in? Well, a lot of friendly people, and a lot of people helped me out. Well, that's what you're going to find here in this city. You find what you look for.
Yes.
And don't be lost just because you don't see the forest because of the tree.
Yes.
And
yes.
the second thing I was going to say is when you bring in an arborist, oh my God, they are so amazing when you find out what the trees you have and what it takes to take care of them. And it is a complete science. So I am so excited for you.
Thank you.
Found this out, and you're going to get rid of some of these Texas weeds, which is amazing because you don't want them killing your oak.
Exactly.
But oaks are stinkers too, man. They are messy, messy, messy trees.
Yes, they can be. But the other part that I found out is how they're all connected. They are a community underground. And he pointed out that you have to be careful because they can pass disease from one to another in a heartbeat through the root system. It's not like you can see a problem on a limb and just go cut the limb off and they're safe. If it gets into the root system, that's where James was saying they had one big ranch And in a 3-year period, it killed over 100 oaks.
Wow.
And they had to go down there and cut them all out. And the owner of the ranch was devastated because that was a wind block. It was shade for his cattle.
Yep.
And now he's trying to figure out what he's going to replace that with.
That's very similar to aspen. Have you seen aspen tree with the white bark?
Yes. Yep.
So they're interconnected, and they connect via the roots. So like, even if you have like an aspen grove and you put a highway in between them, as soon as the ones over here on the right turn yellow, immediately the
Yeah.
ones who are connected will change yellow as well.
Yeah. And it was cool when we went to Yellowstone. Aspens will still have one rebel. You'll have all of them turn yellow, but one. And it stands out. It was so cool. I've got a couple of pictures of it. So that's trees. Wow, and time flew again. Any other input, ahas, epiphanies before we switch to trying to get 3 topics in tonight? Well, next up is KBDB. And I already had a few people on the call go, "What is that?" I said, "Well, you'll find out pretty soon." KBDB came from an Instagram reel, a lady that's on there. And I'd play her reels for you on here, but she's very raw and really likes to swear. But she has some really good stuff, and KBDB stands for Know Better, Do Better. And it's right in sync with where I get a lot of people that feel bad about something they did in the past or something that happened in the past, and no, I shoulda, no, I coulda, and well, I woulda. And you guys have heard me talk about this before. You did the best you could at the time with the tools, the knowledge, and the energy you had available to you. If you could have done better, you would have. But now you can add KBDB to that. You're on a quest to learn, to obtain lessons. And once you have that lesson, once you know better, then you can do better. It doesn't go the other way around most of the time. Yes, sometimes we have that accidental download, epiphany, aha, enlightenment from above, something that we had never even thought of, knew of before, and we were able to act upon it in the moment. But typically, we have to learn before we can do, or be shown, which is part of the learning, the knowing. And so if you're looking back to, oh, this event back then is just driving you nuts. Well, did you know about it at the time? Did you know better at the time? It even came down to, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they said that a friend of theirs' husband was running for office or something like that, and his wife didn't like going with him because they knew that it was going to be brought up that when he was 18, he got busted for doing drugs. And she goes, I just can't stand to watch my husband go through that attack. And my instant reply is, hey, I would have started off everything before my haters bring this up. When I was 18, I made a mistake and I did drugs. And I hate to, well, as long as we're pulling out all the things bad things I've done in my life, there was a time when I actually used to shit myself constantly. I didn't even know how to operate a spoon. Yes, there were times where there were things I just didn't know. But now I know better, so I do better. KBDB. And I've had to bring that up with a number of my clients where they are beating themselves up over the past or about something they don't know or they can't do. And I remind them, there was a point in your life where you did not know how to operate a spoon. Times have changed. Give yourself the grace of realizing that not everybody learns everything at the same rate, the same absorption. Some people have to hear something more than once. Some people everybody has a different type of a different way of learning that works better for them. Some people are visual learners. Some are audible learners. Some people are text learners. I'm a pretty much, I can learn all different ways, but if somebody will show me how to do something, I learn very quickly. That's why when I was doing all my traveling and I needed work because I had this weird addiction to sleeping indoors and eating, I would answer a help wanted and they would say, well, have you done this before? And I would tell them, it's been a while since I've done it, so why don't you show me how you want it done, and I'll do it that way instead. Because I knew all I needed was for them to show me what they wanted done, and I could do it well enough to get in the door and perfect my craft. And yes, Dave, that was any spoon that was given to me. And for those of you that are watching live or watching the recording, unfortunately, you don't get to see the comment section, which is also why you see my eyes going all over the place, because I've got a 50-inch TV as a computer monitor. And Elijah put in the comments, I never make a mistake once or even twice. I make it 5 or 6 times just to be sure. I know a few of those people, yes. And there are a few topics I've probably resembled that remark. Any input, ahas, epiphanies on KBDB? Holly.
So I had kind of a random thought while you were saying that. It reminded me of when I was at girls' camp, and I may have shared this before, but basically we were doing a team task. And for one of the phases, basically every task was balanced so that we were able to do it, but we also got some kind of growth or understanding out of it. And this was the second phase of the task. And somebody pulled me aside and said, for this task, you don't get to contribute. You're representing someone who was born disabled, who's not able to talk, who's not able to walk, whatever. You can't tell any of this to your group because you can't talk, right? And basically they need to carry you. But when you get to the end, know that they have the strength to carry you because we've basically, I don't even know how they calibrated it, but they did. But also, in order for this to be meaningful, somebody needs to play this role. And that, so, know better, do better. The next phase, I had to be all in. When I was able to do better, I needed to be there. But sometimes when we fall down, or when somebody else falls down around us and we need to be the ones carrying, that goes through my mind a lot of, is this actually for my growth? And so if you're feeling really, really bad about messing up before, maybe it was for somebody else's growth. Maybe that was by design that you didn't know better at that moment. And once again, now that you know better, do better. Now you need to be part of the group. It's all calibrated. You need to pull your weight. But don't beat yourself up because you don't know what blessings or growth or learning or whatever you gave to somebody else in that moment that maybe they needed, even if you didn't understand it.
Exactly. And that's why that simple little phrase really hit home for the stuff that I teach is you don't learn everything at once. We didn't come out of the womb knowing trig, knowing how to operate machinery, how to solve the world's problems, or how to deal with humans in their natural environment. But hopefully, when the lessons show up, we recognize them as such and we put them to use so we can do better once we know better. Any other input, ahas, epiphanies before we squeeze in our third topic of the night? And this one, the third one, we've covered before, and I have to admit I grabbed onto it simply because this was one day where I had the two this morning and couldn't find the inspiration for the third one. So apparently somebody must need to hear this. And PIES actually stands for how do you want to judge the things around you physically, intellectually, energetically, and spiritually. And if anybody remembers my talk about this before, if you remember any ahas, epiphanies that you got from it, I would love to hear them. But when you're looking at stuff that is happening to you or that you want out of life, how will you react to it, or what will it do for you physically? Will it enhance your life? Will it enhance your health? Will it detract from it? Intellectually, will binge watching the Kardashians help you intellectually? Yeah. Energetically, will this interaction, this new habit, this new thought process, this new piece of information energize you or basically wear you down? And spiritually, and some people will mistakenly take this as church, it's not so much that, it's the inner part, your belief system, all the above that help you out on your daily basis. How will this activity, this belief, this new habit affect you spiritually? So PIES, physically, intellectually, energetically, spiritually. Any ahas, insights, epiphanies, things anybody want to share on that? Alrighty then. we might actually be able to. Holly.
You know me, I'll always say something. Um, Basically, the one thing that did pop into my head too is when I'm looking at, because for those who can't see, TJ did type pies in the chat, and I'm noticing every letter is the same height. And I was just thinking, does it help me in any of those ways? But also, does it keep me balanced and keep everything so they're not getting completely out of balance with each other as well?
And how many of these affect the other? If you have issues physically, what does that do for you energetically? If you have issues intellectually, how does that affect you spiritually? And back and forth. Mr. V put in, the spirit is forever energy. Great answer. Thank you for sharing that. So these are a couple of different things, and you can look at pies. You can look at the topic of trees and KBDB through pies. You know, if you once you now that you look at things through pies, how does that help you with what you've learned, what you know, and how you can apply it so that you can do better? Discernment, values and criteria is a pretty big part of pies. And values and criteria are changeable quite a bit, even though they are the foundation of every decision you'll make in your life. And anybody else got any comments they'd like to share before we switch over to hour two? Well, then I guess we'll switch over early. For those of you that are watching for the first time or watching the recording for the very first time, we're going to switch over now to hour two, where it's open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can bring up a topic or ask a question. I let the people on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. And you're welcome to join us. You don't even have to know how to spell NLP. You can bring up anything that you want to get some insights, input, ahas from the group. So who's going to start us off early on hour number two? Who's got a question? Who's got a topic that we can share? Hello? Is this mic on? Can you hear me? Holly, starting it off.
Did Greg want to go, or? I mean, okay. I've got a list, so I'll go down the list, I suppose.
Good, please.
So I am curious to get people's ideas for. It's come to my attention that my cortisol levels are both dysregulated and also through the roof. And I've been doing, videos to try to see things to do on it. But I was just curious if any of you have any go-to, whether it's meditations, techniques, diet, foods, exercises, whatever, that are your go-to to regulate cortisol and to bring it down.
Good question. Who's got an answer for Holly on how to regulate and lower cortisol?
Ashwagandha is very good for doing cortisol. If you don't know, also square breathing and self-hypnosis, or real hypnosis from a good guy named TJ.
Thank you, sir.
Just saying.
Excellent, thank you.
Who else has a answer for Holly. So we got here. Renee says sleep, making sure that you're getting good sleep, and there is a difference between eyes closed and good sleep. I admit, people that know me know that I do not sleep well, and it's not that my wife will tell you I am out cold. I can sleep through a lot of noise, a lot of activity, but I have such active dreams that when I finally wake up, a lot of times I will wake up just as tired or more tired than when I went to sleep. So making sure you're getting good sleep. Good answer, Renee. Anybody else got any input, information they could share with Holly?
I find that sitting in the sun is very helpful.
Ah, yes.
I know some people don't live in the sun belt and it's hard to find the sun, and maybe even harder to take the time to go out there and dedicate even 10 minutes. I don't know, it just when I'm feeling low on energy, I sit in the sun and feel like a battery that's being recharged.
Yes.
Which makes sense. Like, aren't we of sun molecules? Isn't that what keeps us maybe keeps us alive? Sending those good vitamins and information. And I heard something not too long ago about what's the term? I can't remember, nano something or other. Neutrinos. That's what it was. Neutrinos. And it's kind of like when you update a computer software. I think that through those neutrinos, which come from the sun to us and pass through, leaving certain bits of information. Might sound crazy, but it seems to work for me. When I'm feeling low on energy or just not maybe a little bit out of balance, just force myself to sit in the sun for 10 minutes, and I just feel like I've been recharged. So that's something I do.
I agree big time. Working outside yesterday in the sun and in the air and doing that physical work, yeah, it was tiring, but the amount of work that I was able to do because I was outside getting sun was very convincing. And Guillermo put in the comments, calm the body before the mind. Fast walking, do 15 minutes of fast walking to lower your cortisol. Yes, move.
Move, yes. Physical activity.
Yes.
I finally got my, we have 2 e-bikes and one was down for the longest time. So I got a battery and I did a few other things. And I have a kind of a circuit that I go on in the evening, these nice roads, and it's like there's nobody around. I just get into this rhythm and this pace, and the roads are like, they're not sharp turns. They're kind of very rounded. It's like a little racetrack. And I have found that if I go out there and spend 30 to 45 minutes doing that, I'm pushing pretty hard. My breathing is up. I come home and I feel better. Just that getting your heart pumping and your breath going, it seems to do the trick. And then I drink beer, and that helps too.
And ironically, it just hit me. One of the other things they pointed out was chopping wood, of all things, splitting wood.
Yeah.
Something about that overhead swing activity, but I think it's also the accomplishment of the work, because it is work. But if you're splitting wood and stacking it, you can see the work you've done, the work you've accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's multi-level, right? It's the physical exertion, again, the blood pumping, the breathing, the sweat, the that, like I said, the swinging, and it's nature. You're outside. You're splitting an actual natural thing, organic thing, right? And you're in the sun too, so it sounds like it's beneficial on many levels.
another one that I've heard is gardening,
Oh yeah, getting your hands in the dirt, sure.
grounding,
Mm-hmm.
grounding, because like you said, hands contacting the dirt, tending, caring for something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Who else has
Oh,
got?
music. I'm sorry. Music. You can't forget about music too. To
Yes.
raise your vibration, lower cortisol, release certain good feeling things within you. There's not a day passes that I don't listen to music. Sometimes for hours in the evening. I'm lucky that I can play DJ in my family slash listening room with the windows open and just play luckily as loud as I want, and it just elevates me, you know.
You and I have the same blessing. Our neighbors listen to really good music,
Yeah.
whether they want to or not.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. On a good sound system, of course. You can't play good music on a crappy system. It's counterproductive. So
Yes.
a combination of really well chosen, well segued music to fit the energy of the evening or how you're feeling, or the sense of how neighbors around me are taking the music or listening to the music. It's always positive. My neighbors like the music that I play. Um, um, so that combination of things, especially a great sound system, makes everything sound good. So it's definitely energy. It's more manipulation of energy through music, for instance. Yes.
And we got a answer in the comments, a couple of them. Elijah said that proper intimacy. Yes, I'm paraphrasing. But yes, I agree. And Guillermo put in shaking all your body and do trampoline for around 2 minutes. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth as you do this. Yes, I've got a small rebounder that I use. Renee added reduce sugar consumption, blood sugar crashes, and cortisol spikes.
Yep.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
You know, the mentioning of intimacy is something that I think more and more, at least what I'm seeing, is happening less and less. And that's a very, very powerful thing. You talk about releasing certain good chemicals in your body, and there is definitely not enough of that.
Yep.
Uh-uh.
Well, I think what's missing is with all of the electronic interaction,
Sure.
the understanding of intimacy
Hmm.
is dropping.
Yeah. Yep.
Physical touch and all of that stuff.
And I mean, a lot of young people are not experiencing that. And many, many other things. They're living a very unnatural life. This
Yeah.
thing, this thing emanating, toxic, electronics and information, right? These kids, young people today are not doing so many things. They're not connecting socially necessarily.
Yep.
They're not dating. They're not learning about intimacy and the wonders of that, or just talking,
Yeah.
talking to people like face to face, not not texting, not emailing, not even FaceTiming, like face to face, the natural way with no electronics in the way. And these kids have grown up without any of that. And yeah, we know why they're freaking miserable, a lot of them.
Yeah. Exactly. Elijah.
Yo. Um, I'm gonna do what I do, and this word intimacy, you know, many people seem to misunderstand it. If you break it down just into like syllables, you could actually turn it into 4 words.
Yep.
Into me see,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And real intimacy is the willingness to, you know, show your vulnerability to the other person
Yep.
and allow yourself to be, maybe weak is not the right word, like truly strong in a way, right? To know that you put yourself in a position where you could potentially be shattered, but it's okay because the reward in terms of like the level of endorphins released and the connection formed and the you know resulting reduction in cortisol and stress and all of that is just off the charts, right? And so real intimacy is not the same as like you know, TJ did paraphrase. I wrote in the chat, I wrote getting laid, which is a very crass kind of way of saying it, right? But yeah, if you know, even knowing that it, you know, ahead of time, like if both parties are aware, like, you know, that it's going to be temporary, it's just a thing with, you know, but allowing permission for that temporary removal of one's own mask and one's own armor to let yourself be vulnerable, that's what will do it. It's not the mechanical act of having sex that's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the into me see,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, and thank you. Because I had forgotten about that into me seed part, and that is very important. Uh, that's the vulnerability. That's the what a lot of people think is the scariest part.
Yeah.
What's behind the mask?
That's where we need to go. You know, we need to go those places that the conditioning has scared us to go to. That's where the growth is. That's where the adventure is. That's where you go to find yourself, right? When you go to, you know, new places that you haven't been before. That's where the expansion happens, right? That's where you find out about what you're made of, what you're capable of doing, what you're capable of thinking and speaking, and that will naturally give you opportunities to look at yourself and where there might be blockages or shortcomings or old outdated habits, right?
Yes.
I mean, now I love going to those places because it's like I always come out lighter at the other end and hopefully a little bit wiser.
That anybody else got any input, ahas, epiphanies we can share with Holly on this topic, or is it time for another one? Great topic, by the way, Holly. Thank you for bringing that one up.
Thanks for the responses. They were amazing.
Well, that means it's time for the next question or topic, so don't be shy. We got 45 minutes to go, so who's got the next one? Well, Holly, you said you got a list. Can we get question number 2 off the list?
Sure. Debating which one I had to go with. Well, I'll go with this one. So I saw a study, I think we've mentioned it before, that something like 20% of Harvard graduates can't even read. Anyway, so, you know, I have several nieces and nephews, and I sometimes get the chance to play with them and maybe even teach them stuff. But, you know, it's occasionally, it's not all the time. So I was just curious for each of you, if you had time with the next generation to teach them a skill, what are the top skills you would prioritize teaching to the next generation? And if you have any ideas of how to teach it too, let me know that.
Ooh, there's a good question.
Me.
Yes.
Me. Okay. Really quick, I just had my mind blown. When I moved to Cabo San Lucas in 2012, we started meeting people, and their kids don't want to drive.
Yes.
That is the craziest thing, because what driving means is freedom. It means getting away. It means getting away from the thumb, the control, freedom. And they have so much fear, kids today and yesterday, of the freeway, of parking, of driving, of what do we do without our helicopter parent right there upon us?
Yes.
Mind blown. And so I would teach people today, if given the opportunity, what driving really means, which is freedom, to be able to get out and do things and explore and adventure, and how to drive a stick shift.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that people are afraid of, oh my God, it's not an automatic. What do I do? I mean, little things like that. It's so crazy. And if they can drive, what they can do and how they can drive their life or their conversation or other things. And driving is so connected and interconnected with so many different things. So freedom, Braveheart, freedom.
I might have mentioned I'm in the middle of giving my 20-year-old son driving lessons in my sedan, and he not that he resisted it, but he's in that generation that is resistive to things like that. But he realized, of course, through his working and seeing other people who work there that are his age, a little bit older, are driving, and they get to go places whenever they want, and they get to meet each other. So that was the impetus for him. And he mentioned going on the freeway. We've been out about 20 times already, like an hour each time. And it took the first 6 or 8 times before he would venture onto the freeway. You know, San Diego there's a lot of freaking people here, and the freeways move. You got to
Yes.
pay attention every second, you know. I actually had to trick him, you know, because I tell him where to go, or I'll set a destination on the navigation, and I had to
Yes.
trick him until we're turning onto the on ramp, and he goes, "Oh,
What?
we're going on to 805." But I know him. He's capable. He's a parkour coach. He has reflexes, and he's fit, and he's got good balance, and he doesn't wear glasses. He's got all the qualities he needs. He's strong. So I knew he had the capacity to do it and learn it, and I had to push him to do it. And now he's like, well, I think I'm going to go on the freeway right away. I'm not going to go on surface streets. But
Right.
absolutely, I know people in this group, me included, when I hit 17 in New Jersey, I was at the DMV with my dad's car, taking my driver's license, my driver's test, getting my license on my birthday.
15 and a half, baby. And I was driving since I was 6.
Right?
Yeah.
No kidding. Well, that's the thing. We were
Yeah.
driving what? Our brothers' cars when they were away, or our parents' cars when we weren't around, or farm
Go-karts, motorcycles.
go-karts, mini bikes, scooters, dirt bikes, and like we were
Yes.
itching to get on the road,
Yes.
itching to get on. And then
then you look at kids today with these damn electric bikes
oh my gosh.
and being crazy.
Here in San Diego, I just heard that I don't know if it's been implemented, but they're talking about lowering speed limits in certain areas, and I think that's the impetus because these kids are out there, a lot of them without helmets, doing wheelies. There's a video of a group of young kids, in their teens, half of them no helmets, doing wheelies on Route 5 freeway, a major 6-lane freeway, and they're cutting
Yeah.
lanes on their e-bikes.
Yeah.
And of course, they're getting hurt and being killed, and so they think that lowering the speed limit is going to fix it.
So now we're gonna punish the good ones who are
Of
doing what
course.
they're supposed to be doing.
Of course, that's always
You know.
how it happens, right? The people who, are responsible pay the price for the people who are not.
Yeah, that's insane.
Uh,
Thank you, Newscomb.
oh God.
Don't get us started on that.
Yeah, don't get us started on those criminals up there. Jeez.
But we've also got some really good answers in the chat here. I'm gonna stay right there because we'll get comments on these too. Elijah put in hypnosis, which of course I fully back. Money management, yes, please. Money management. Mind-body connection, absolutely. Guillermo put in diaphragmatic breath, slow exhale activities to tell the body to slow the heartbeat. Place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly button area. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, then exhale through your mouth for a count of 6 slowly. The key is to keep the chest still during the exercise. Do this for 5 times. He does this with his son who has ADHD and calms down pretty well. Yes, especially with this younger generation, that anxiety and fear and all the above is higher than I can remember. Elijah also added self-compassion, how to be okay with being seen. Yes. Managing and thriving through uncertainty. Yes, Elijah, you're the one with the list now. Renee put in a great one. Do something that scares you at least once a week. Public speaking, driving,
Absolutely.
start a conversation with a stranger. Jump
Absolutely.
on a plane, be adventurous. Oh my gosh, you're going to die anyway.
No kidding. Ride a motorcycle. I've been riding motorcycles my whole life. I've got a couple of 3 of them, and
Yep.
actually, as I've gotten older, it's not like I'm afraid, but I'm more cautious, a little bit more cautious. But I see the anxiety sometimes in myself, and I go, that's the thing I need to do because it scares me.
Yes.
Because you're alive, man. Every second is like you have to pay attention because you could die. Either
You could die.
by making a mistake or somebody else doing something dumb or whatever. And the fact is, when I get out there, I feel safer on the bike, on the freeway, cranking down the road than at home, sitting in the chair thinking about it, how scary it might be.
Yes.
Right? You get out
Yes.
there.
Well, also the scary thing for your son, though, bringing up motorcycles, is in California how they shoot the lanes and they split the lanes.
Yeah, they do that.
And
Yep.
I know, but what's scary on the 805, the very first time I was on there, I was driving a 250, and I had a big motorcycle shoot. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even see that guy. So make sure you train your son
Yeah.
to look for people, because whenever he's splitting the lane, when he's cutting lane, if somebody's coming up as rear,
Yep.
you never know. So always keep looking.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And paying attention. That's one thing I say to my son. Pay attention all the time. Look at the 3 rear view mirrors. Turn your head quickly when you're turning, changing lanes or making a turn. Assume you're invisible.
Yes.
Knowing you're just invisible. Nobody's paying attention. So,
And don't let people surprise you from behind, like he was saying. I'm notorious for announcing in the cab of my vehicle, of whoever's riding with me, if I see some race car coming up through the banks,
mhm.
I go, got a fast one coming up on the right hand side, because I don't even want my passengers freaking out when this vehicle's like, boom.
Yep.
But it's good exercise for me to have my head on a swivel
Oh
at
yeah.
all times, even when I'm driving my big truck.
Yep.
Same thing. I don't care if I'm on a motorcycle, if I'm in a big truck, if I'm in my, yeah,
Things happen very, very quickly on the road.
very,
In like within an instant, half a second to a few seconds, something changes. And
yeah,
you gotta be relaxed though, because like Xander's he's at the steering wheel. I'm like, are your hands like really tight around the wheel? Yes. Are you breathing? No. You know?
yes.
So like you gotta like breathe, like you have a confident grip on the steering wheel, but you're not white knuckling it. You have to know that you're ready to respond, right? You're on guard, but you're not freaking out about it. You're not tense
Yeah,
about it. You have to trust your capacities that when something happens, you're ready and you can respond without over correcting or over responding to it at the same time, you know?
yes.
So kind of like life, you know?
And
Have a
Elijah
loose
added a
grip
bunch
and
more.
breathe.
Yes, Elijah added a bunch of good ones on here as well. Get off your phone, tablet, your computer, and
Yes.
get outside.
Yes. Thank you.
Loud pipes save lives, yes. And learn to trust your instincts. Learn to listen to your instincts.
Yeah,
Learn what
absolutely.
your instincts are.
Yep. Yep.
That's huge.
Yep. Absolutely. And no, like, again, I keep talking about young people, but because of this sheltered, incomplete life that they're living, they haven't found simple things like their instincts. They don't even know, right? They
Yes.
don't know how to find them. They don't know how to hone them. And that's one of many things that they're not doing. It's like, God, it seems so sad to me.
Well, that was brought up in a study about how kids the this generation is so afraid of stuff because they never were allowed to get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, my generation, look at the school playgrounds from my generation. We had
Yeah.
the two-story high stainless steel metal slide.
Monkey. Oh, that thing, sure.
Yeah, the slide with just some handrails, and you got up there, and there weren't guardrails. But in the summertime, it only took you one time going down the slide in the summertime to realize that by the time you got down, you were about 3 skin grafts away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the wintertime, if it got slick, Mach 3 was a speed that you were capable of hitting.
Yep.
But we also had the monkey bars. We had
Yeah.
crazy
Yep,
climbing
two-story
things
monkey bars.
without pads. They're
Yep.
on concrete. They're on gravel. They're on things that are going to chew you up. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Or
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. The
those
whole
spinning
climbing platforms.
those spinning things, you hold on, your
Oh,
feet
yes.
Yes.
horizontally, you just fly off and break a finger and everybody laughs at you,
Merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And one of the
Yep.
things that you just pointed out that was in this study, the lack of casts.
Oh, we never seen
Every
kids
one
with
of us
cats.
knew somebody in our class that had a cast. We had at least one or two kids in our class a year that had a cast.
Oh yeah, at least stitches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Bruises, like lots of bruises and cuts
Oh,
and scars and abrasions and cuts over the on the eyebrow or the lip or the chin or
oh yeah, busted lip.
yeah.
Yes.
Knees, of course, my knees always had scabs on them.
Yep.
Hey, we can't talk about that. We don't know why your knees had scabs on.
Easy now.
Oh God.
Elijah also put in here, don't ever let anyone make you feel like you don't deserve what you want.
Oh
Yes.
gosh, yes.
Separating signal from noise is huge, very much so. Yeah, all of these things. And it goes right in line with KBDB. Know better, do better.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things, I hate to say it, there are adults that need to learn all this stuff. That's why it's so important
Yes.
to teach it to the kids.
Well, the adults, some that are younger than us, they don't know, and they're not teaching stuff to their kids that they don't know that's useful.
There.
They're letting
Yes.
kids go on their phone. It's like a permanent 24/7 babysitter. And the parents go, "Oh, they're fine. They're safe. They're sitting on the couch or whatever, doom scrolling. They're okay." No, you can't protect your kid. It's not prudent to protect your child like that. Get out there, fall off your bike, climb a
Yeah.
tree, and get some splinters and whatever. God,
And Elijah put another nugget in there. Please, please, please always remember, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words cannot hurt me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Don't let your ego be the most fragile thing in your body.
No.
Kind of like Marty McFly, Back to the Future. He called me chicken. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, the adults can't teach what they don't know. And that's why a lot of this is fading away quickly. Another one that popped into my head, know what you're listening to and what it does in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
As a DJ, man, I used to have kids come up all the time when I was DJing and go, "Will you play this song?" Thinking that because their parents have no idea what the song means, that I wouldn't. And if I knew that the song was bad, I would go, "So why don't you stay up here in the booth with me, and when the part that comes on where it says this, I'm going to stop the song and you're going to explain to everybody what that means." And they're like, "Oh, you know what? No thanks." Off they go. Or if I didn't know the song, I got very smart and I said, "I'll play your song under 3 conditions. Number 1, if there's anything offensive in the song, I'm going to stop the song right away. Number 2, when I stop the song right away, you're going to come up to the microphone and you're going to apologize to anybody that got offended by your song. And then rule number 3, if that happens, I keep the music." Oh, there was some changes and requests. El pronto.
Yep.
Well, that was a really good topic. Anybody else got any other things that we would like to add to that? One of my big ones, the trifecta. If I could teach the trifecta to every human on the planet, regardless of age, I would be happy. And for those of you that are watching this or out there and have no idea what I mean by the trifecta, Echo Talk, 3 magic questions, values and criteria elicitation. Just those 3, the ability to communicate once you understand and know how to utilize those is huge. Anybody else got anything, or did we get all the answers for what would be good to teach kids, or at this point anybody? All right, great question, Holly. Actually, 2 great questions. So, who's got another one? Or do I have to have Holly go back to her list and hit
I have a question.
Oh, okay. What's up?
I have a question. This recent, the weeks and weeks and weeks of the craziness that we've been feeling. Mercury retrograde, this intense, I don't know what it is, can't put my finger on it, but I don't know if anybody else felt the shift, but like a couple of days ago, I don't know if anybody else feel it like shifted and things got a little bit lighter than they had been. No?
Question. Anybody got any input on that? Nobody?
No? Okay. Guess I'm the only one who felt it. I'm
No.
so sensitive.
Holly.
Sorry, my computer froze there. I actually definitely did feel it, and it is interesting because I finally just wanted to know what the passages are. And so I downloaded an app that will tell me what are in, and it definitely is a Mercury retrograde. Which I just thought it might be interesting to share what that is.
Sure.
It occurs about 3 times each year. It lasts roughly 3 weeks each time. And during the period, there's a focus on communication, thought, and travel turns inward. You might experience delays, misunderstandings, or technical hiccups. This is also a powerful time for reflection, review, and reconnection.
Yes.
So,
All of that. Especially technical stuff. I like stuff around here. I deal with electronics and mechanical stuff all the time. And stuff was just like, it had been working fine. I go to sell something or works for 5 minutes and then some weird crap's happening. So definitely feeling a lot of that. And it's very, very frustrating because it's like, I fixed this thing, I restored it, it was working great, and I go to sell it and something weird is happening.
That's perfectly in line with Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad it shifted a little
The
bit.
making it's probably fine, but the selling it is where it would get.
Yeah.
No, actually, being around the maintenance and building industry for as long as I've been and knowing about Mercury and retrograde, I can tell you, especially when I was running my maintenance company, I knew when Mercury was in retrograde.
Right.
People were grumpy, stuff was breaking, trying to fix it. It was like if it could go wrong, it would go wrong in retrograde.
Yep.
And I couldn't wait for that to pass so I could get in and get stuff fixed one and done and move on to the next project because there would still be plenty left over from retrograde coming through like a bull in a china shop, breaking everything.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't know, Duncan, if you were on social media at all. I'm looking for the very specific person that reports on this, and he talks a lot about solar flares and a variety of things that are going on in space. So when you had mentioned that, I'm still looking for what his name is, but his stuff is very insightful. So if you're on Instagram, I will send you, or on social media, I'll send you one of his so that you can follow it. But I think you might be interested in it, especially since you had mentioned that.
Yeah, I would be. I don't do a lot of social media, and for some reason my Instagram, I think it was maybe a good thing, but because it's attached to Google, right? Meta, all that nonsense. So for some reason it's not. I went to Facebook the other day, and I haven't been on Facebook in a long time. And we have canceled your
You miss
account.
nothing.
And so now Instagram is affected. So I'm not sure where I stand. So try sending something to me.
Okay, maybe you're in Facebook jail like TJ.
Yeah.
No, I got banned off the island, and I didn't even do the crime. That's the problem.
I know, right? And there's no accuser.
Track it down.
Yeah. I was so excited when you were actually getting abused by Facebook because you were talking about how you'd stepped up into crypto and you became an investor and all. I'm going, wow, man. I told my wife, I'm like, holy smokes, TJ really stepped up his game. He's doing crypto now, because I've always done crypto and
A
stuff. I'm going,
master
holy
level,
smokes.
nonetheless. Yeah, at least the jerk was kind enough to give me master level crypto. And I can barely spell it. So I was like, and you weren't the only one that got excited. I had 3 or 4 people call me about, hey, I've been wondering about crypto. What can you tell me?
I
I
was
can
one of
tell you
them.
that I
Like,
I
you've
got
been holding
banned
back,
from
holding out
Facebook
on us.
because of it.
Yeah.
Funny.
Holly.
Oh, just another thought that came to me too, because I've been that person who absolutely did not believe in astrology. But I will say too, if you're in that place, just a reminder that even if you don't believe in, the literal, this is what happens, there's a lot of metaphorical learning you can learn just by reading through what all of these things mean. So the way I kind of think about it is I use a lot of fictional books to learn from. I still learn things from them, so you don't have to if you literally believe in it, awesome. If you don't, awesome. But you could still learn from it. And learning that when times are difficult, that there's still a role for that, and that there's something good that you can get out of it, I think is a very important thing to remember.
Well, I wish I would have known it more when I was bartending. Bartending and bar managing. One of my classic disagreements with one of the owners of a bar that I was managing got mad at me because I had extra staff on a Tuesday night, which was typically dead. And he didn't show up that night. He just saw it on the schedule. And he's like, what the heck? Why do you have so many people scheduled for Tuesday night? And I said, because it's a full moon. And to put it nicely, he said, well, what's that got to do with it? He didn't say it quite that nice. And I said, well, if you don't know, contact the police department and the emergency room and ask them why they have extra staff on during a full moon. Because it affects people.
Yeah.
He looked at me like I had a third eye.
Mm-hmm.
But I also told him that if it doesn't affect the people that way, it's a night of cleaning, and then I send people home. 2 weeks later, I pointed out the deposit for that night. Yeah, we got slammed on a Tuesday night. Not sure if it was just pure coinkydink that it was on a full moon, but apparently I got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks, Elijah. Yes, I do have a third eye. I have it hidden though. So, do we have who was was it Lenore that you had a question you were about to ask when?
I had something earlier that the lovely Holly had said, and it kind of seeded something that was something that I was going to bring up during hour 2. I apologize for having to step away. I was doing my best to listen, but I'm going to actually have to go back to the recording. I heard bits and pieces, and one thing that I really noticed this week was, and I wrote it down and I texted it to someone, and I found it really surprising. And I had written, are we constantly disappointing ourselves because we are expecting something to look like what we thought rather than marveling at what it is?
Will you read that again, please?
I said, are we constantly disappointing ourselves because we're expecting something to look like what we thought rather than marveling at what it is? And I think especially when we get into the personal growth world, which you do know I love, there's all these how to make it happen, and especially in the marketing world of like living your dream life. And when we get to certain things, we're like, but it didn't look like how I thought it was going to look. And for some reason, when you're experiencing something what you thought would be like this over the top elation isn't. Or if you thought something was going to happen and it doesn't, rather than going, you know what? There's probably a lot of things I don't know that are going on. I'm okay here, and recognizing that you're not failing, you're not doing something wrong, you're not missing something, and you're not completely da-da-da-da-da. You happen to be right on time, and marveling at that and thinking there's so many things that I don't know. And I kept thinking it was going to look a certain way, but what if this is exactly how it's supposed to look? And the only one that is disappointed is the one who's running the story, because she's running it through a filter that says, no, it was supposed to look like this. It was supposed to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really, really surprising, because then I realized I was the one that was chronically holding myself in disappointment because I thought it was going to look like something else. And rather than saying, no, what if this is exactly what it's supposed to look like, and you were the one that was wrong, rather than this being wrong. So.
Oh, hands are flying up. Yes, and I've got comments too. Elijah.
So I think you hit the nail on the head. The only way that you won't get absolutely everything you want out of this life is by thinking that the experience you're having is somehow different from the one that you should be having.
Amen.
To think that things need to be a certain way.
Yep.
If you can somehow let go of that, if you can go inside yourself and take all the permission that you need internally to let things the way they are and to fumble and fall and stumble sometimes,
Yep.
then you will have absolutely everything perfectly in the correct time when it is supposed to happen for you in a way that you cannot predict from your current position.
Yep.
Please shared.
100%. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
Holly.
Gosh, I could just listen to Elijah all day long. I know I'm not the only one.
Yes.
Amazing. A couple things tell you how much I've been watching Super Nanny, but it reminded me again of another scene that I saw. And for those who don't know the show very well, basically she teaches the parents to do something, and then she films them while she's gone and comes back and reviews it. And for this particular family, she comes in and the mother is just so sad and so angry because everything went wrong. And, Super Nanny Joe says to her, you are the only one to be. It was about dopamine and oxytocin. And a lot of times we go into anything, whether it's a relationship or expecting dopamine, not realizing that oxytocin is a million better than dopamine, but it's quieter and it takes longer to happen. And if we're so focused on the dopamine, we can actually shut down the oxytocin reaction. That, the dopamine is what we expect, and it can give us those highs, it can give us those whatever. It's kind of like a roller coaster. But it will never be as good. And this is why I've been looking at cortisol so much too. It'll drop because cortisol blocks oxytocin and let the oxytocin come in way better than you ever dreamed, but you actually have to let it happen.
Doesn't forget about that one. And I only think like oxytocin can come from hugs, but you're completely right.
Yeah. I actually wrote this topic down as expectations. And so many people get so disappointed with their life because of what they expected it to be.
Yep.
And perfectionists. Oh, yes, I've been dealing with that disease for a long time. And you can build something, and because you built it and you knew what it was supposed to look like, you can see every flaw in it. And the admirers can't see one. And it's sad when the admirers enjoy your work more than you do because they don't know the flaws that you think you see.
Yep.
Elijah.
So, Lenora, I know you read Reality Transurfing, and so I'd like to remind you of a quote from there. It's probably not a direct quote, I'm probably paraphrasing and I might butcher it, but the only thing standing between you and everything you want is the amount of artificial importance that you've placed upon it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not that deep. It's not that important. And if you can, that whole thing coming back to what Holly was saying about relaxing, right? The moment you kind of take the pressure off, everything becomes easier.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they call it? Removing external importance. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
importance is it's very subjective, first of all,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Very much so.
And it's quite judgmental when you think about it,
Yeah.
you know, and it comes with a whole host of boundaries and conditions,
Yeah.
right? And the moment you make something less important in your mind, I mean, don't get me wrong, there will be people and things that are genuinely important, but that's the thing, right? Is that how much of it is genuine importance and how much of it is artificial importance?
Yeah. I think the other thing, I just had it, banana peels. I was listening to something and I found it fascinating. This guy was making a collection of these people that were talking, kids that were talking about, oh, I was in heaven, or like, oh, I saw you from the other realm. I saw you from here. And just story after story after story after story of things that they've seen, or like at 3 years old, they said this, and just like really, really interesting, mind-bending stuff. And I thought, there are so many common threads about that and things that kids see that adults don't see. And I know we've talked about that, and how it's kind of, it's part of the veil, and it gets faded out and phased out. And especially when you talk about it with people who don't think that way, and then they teach you not to think that way. I realize, I'm like, and I have to say to myself so often, there's so many things, Lenora, that you don't know. There's so many things that you don't know. Because my brain, I find, will try to constantly make sense of things and try to make it fit. And removing the importance and just saying, you know what? There are things I don't know. And I'm okay with that. And there are so many different schools of thought. And ultimately, if you go to the core, all of these thoughts are perspectives of how somebody has seen their world, how they've interpreted it, and how they're able to keep their nervous system in a balanced state to the best of their ability. And I think that one is also really, really interesting. So in removing importance, you're coming back to that balance of, I'm here, I'm okay, things are well, all is as it should be. and take the next breath forward or the next step forward or something. So just very
You know,
interesting.
visible light,
Visible
the
light.
amount that you can see with your eyes, is 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum. 0.0035.
Okay, I'm going to write this down.
Right?
Okay.
So if you only believe in what you see, you are
Right.
ignoring 99.9965% of information.
Oh my gosh, thank God, TJ, you're recording this because he said numbers so quickly.
Right? Which is insane.
Insane.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
You have to be, it's not that I'll believe it when I see it. It's I'll see it once I believe it. It's the other way around.
And it adds a whole new concept to you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, and beyond that, like you don't even know that you don't know that you don't know.
Now you sound like Friends episode.
Holly.
You know, sorry, I have to do this now, Lenora. You've done it, right? You know, you don't know what I'm gonna say next, even though I do.
On my board.
And not knowing that you don't know what I'm not gonna say or what I'm gonna say might be the only thing you know for real. And even though you might not know what you don't know, when you eventually hear what I do say next, will it even mean the same thing after you've heard it as it meant when I said it?
You're so damn talented, Elijah. Just like pours out of you. My God.
You listen, you got me
Like
started.
the
Sorry.
most amazing. I'm not a wine person, but if you were a wine, it would be amazing.
I get better with age. So apologies. Holly was gonna say something.
No, I'm enjoying listening to everything you're saying.
It
Elijah.
just flows. It's gorgeous.
I was just gonna throw in there. It kind of reminds me of Have you? I don't know if you've seen the third Indiana Jones movie.
Yes.
When he's at or is it the third or is it the first? It's probably the first. I'm getting it mixed up. Anyway, where he's at the cliff, and he knows he has to get across to the other side, and there's just this big, chasm in front of him, and he has to take a leap of faith. And I was just thinking,
he steps off.
the acting in that is just so good. If anybody hasn't seen it, I recommend checking it out. But it just, you know what? You don't have to know. You just have to take the leap of faith and trust that those who do know are guiding your path.
Amen.
Holly, I will forever think of you in Triple T now every time I watch Indiana Jones. And Renee beautifully clarified that it was the third one.
Thank you. I get them mixed up sometimes.
No, guys, it's the first one as well, because when he's going in to get the actually it's the third one. You're right, I screwed up. Yes.
Renee doubled down, and she even
Yes,
said
myself.
The Last Crusade.
Yes, I screwed up.
A+, Renee. A+.
Oh, look at this.
Oh.
Renee for the win. Trifecta. Bang, bang, bang. What a way to close out another Triple T.
Love it, Renee.
221. I just absolutely adore the bejesus out of you guys.
I adore that you record these. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you guys for giving me something to record and something to share. And for those of you that are out watching this or watching the recording, thank you. And especially those in YouTube land, I get to love you, Mom. And Dave also put in that April 1st, April Fool's Day, is a full pink moon. So we got a full moon coming up on the 1st.
Well,
So
extra staff next week.
yeah, try Try and be careful with whatever April Fool's Day escapades you're thinking about bringing up. But like I've said so many of these episodes, if you don't believe in time manipulation, we prove it here. Do a plank, you'll find out how long a minute feels, and jump on here and you'll see how fast 2 hours can go by. So thank you all for offering up your precious commodity of time. As soon as I figure out how to reproduce it and give it back to you guys, you'll be the second to know. But until then, I adore you guys. I do. Thank you. Love you. Go out and have an amazing week. Live the best life possible. And hopefully I get to see your beautiful faces back here in 7 glorious days. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Adios,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
And
Thank
thank you,
you, Renee.
Lenora.